Hi there, here's wishing you a happy new year and a blessed 2021 from me to you. Thank you so much for walking the journey with us thus far. Excited and looking forward to what we have in store for you this year. But before I go any further, a special thanks to this beautiful location, Radisson Blu here in Arboretum. Thank you for always hosting us. If you want a place to come and unwind, this is the place to be. Now to meet our guest, here is Dear Diary and get to know more about what we'll be talking about on the show today.
Hi, my name is Maria Muinde. I'm a mother to Shen Muinde Onyango, wife to the late Tony Onyango. I use social media to raise autism awareness, its understanding and its acceptance, as well as to document tales on my grief. Well, the main purpose as to why I share this information is so that I can remind people that even in life's ugliest season, it's still beautiful. That it may not seem like it now, but God will always be a good God, a fair God, and a just God.
Hi there, welcome to Unscripted with me, Grace. A happy new year. We are so glad to be back, looking forward to what the year has to offer. And we are here with a special guest. Maria, thank you for coming on Unscripted.
Thank you for hosting me.
Yes, we're so grateful. Happy New Year to you as well.
Happy New Year to you too.
I hope, regardless, of all circumstances, the year has begun well for you?
Yes, reasonably well. I can't complain.
You can't complain. So before we go into your story, because it's quite a heavy one, you can tell people at home, who is Maria? What is Maria about? What do you like? What don't you like? Who is our guest today?
Well, my name is Maria Muinde. I'm a mother to one that is Shen Jude Muinde Onyango. And I was married to Tony Onyango Pondo. Mostly people know, on the social media, people know me for my writing. Because I've been documenting, even before Tony's death, I was quite a lot on Instagram doing a lot of advocacy on autism. After that, when I lost Tony last year in March, so I used the same platform as a way of coping. So I'd document my stories about grief, share bits and pieces of memory together. Like you mentioned, your husband passed last year? Yes. 2020? Yes, I know 2020. That was not a great year for many people. For all of us, in many ways, we're just grateful to be here today. But now on top of dealing with the world pandemic, you lost your husband. Please tell us how that happened. Well, Tony passed on 3rd March. It was on a Tuesday, roughly between 9:30 p.m. to 10. We woke up quite fine. He normally we had a morning routine. Our son is autistic, so we have to stick to a routine. So part of our morning routine is I'd wake up earlier than them, say 15 minutes earlier or 30 minutes. I prepare Shane's breakfast. I make sure his shoes are polished, uniform is ironed. Then at 6 a.m., his dad will wake up and he'll be the one to wake Shane up. Well, I'm not a morning person. So Tony had more grace. So he'd wake up, wake Shane up, take him through the morning routine. So first thing they do is have breakfast together. And where are you at this time when they're having breakfast? I'm just there. Okay. It was their time to bond? Yeah, it was their time to bond, really, yeah. So I was always at the background, just in case they needed anything. So after breakfast, it was potty time. Then he's the one who used to bathe our son. Yeah. I was a good father. Yeah, he was very much involved. Like, I usually say I'm one of those lucky ones. That's true. Yeah, so after shower time, he's the one who will dress him up. Wow. Yeah. And but every day? Yes. As long as it's not out of the country for rugby tours, because most of the time, towards the end, we didn't have a house girl. So it was just me and him. So in the morning when he prepares Shane, by evening when I'm coming back from work and he's either out coaching kids or out for, what's it called? Training. So I'm the one to take over in the evening. I like that you mentioned, I guess I should have started at the beginning, out for rugby tours. So maybe you can tell people at home who your husband was, what he did, and maybe even how you met. Tony, people knew him as Tony Onyango. Well, I met Tony in Strathmore University in 2010. We were just registered for undergraduate degrees. Yeah, so, yeah. So I was doing a bachelor in business and information technology, and Tony was doing a bachelor in, I think it's on informatics, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so coincidentally, because their class, they were the pioneer students that specific year. So meaning like they couldn't meet quorum for some of the core units, say some of the being accounting, a bit of stuff like communication skill and a bit of the IT. So we ended up sharing classes. This is a funny story. Like I never wanted to go to Strathmore.
Really?
Yes.
So how did you end up there?
Well, my mom has a PhD in IT. And I always wanted nursing. So I'd started it elsewhere. And when I came back, I relocated to Kenya. So for her, she saw like...
Where were you?
New Zealand. That's where I finished off my high school education. And I'd been called for nursing. It's what I actually wanted to do. So when you came to Kenya, KMTC uniform.
You're like, not for you.
Not for me. So she was like, the next best alternative is BBIT, because it was not so new in the market, but it was quite marketable, you know, especially from Strathmore University. And I knew business-wise, at least I've been helping around the family businesses, but now the IT was a tricky bit, because her, she mainly centers in ICT. So she thought it's something straightforward. That's it until I find myself in class and I have to code. I've never seen these things before.
I'm telling
So
you, I can only imagine.
Yeah. But the good thing is those 20. Yeah, so at the time, being young, I was kind of seeing someone who's seeing someone else.
And then
we met in class. He had this amazing, amazing smile and is such a gentle soul. I can't even remember how I started talking to Tony.
I love that. A rugby player is a gentle soul. So he was a gentle...
Very
child.
gentle.
Oh.
Very gentle. Polite. He was just amazing. He was a happy soul too. So I can't really, I think, you know how you normally sit outside the class and you're waiting for the classes to start? We must have started the conversation somewhere along there, because I don't have like the recollection of when exactly we started talking. Because he's the kind of a guy, he tends to keep to himself. He's quite a loner. Very outgoing, but also quite a loner. So when I started talking to him, I brought him to my circle from BBIT. So that's when a friendship was born.
When did you know he was the one for you?
Like I was going through a phase, a rough patch, I can call it that. Being in a school like I don't want. Yeah, so around that time, and I used to talk, I don't know why, but I used to talk to him quite a lot. So I found a friend in him, I found a confidant. So anytime I had challenges, be it at home, be it the relationship, be it class, we just talk. And that was it for us. It just, I don't know, it just happened.
It just happened?
Yeah,
you just know. When you know, you know.
Yeah, because we don't even have like a definite anniversary. Yeah, so when people will ask us like, when did you start dating? It's like, so you round it off to
wow,
a memory of we were at a gathering somewhere. That's how we arrived at August 29th, 2011, yeah.
Tell me about, before we go into that fateful day, your family growing and your son. How was that journey of the coming of your son and hearing about his diagnosis or knowing about his diagnosis?
Well, I had actually a very normal pregnancy. Everything was smooth. I worked until the end. And Tony was very supportive, because I never went to any clinic on my own. He'd sit there. Even when I had the first clinic, when they do like a series of tests, he also did in support. So we're enjoying the needles together. Yeah.
I was a good man. The birth went well?
Yeah, I was induced. Okay. So they kept telling me, don't push. But immediately they induced me, like it didn't even take long. Like it was just intense pain the entire time. Yeah, so after like 15 minutes, I told them like, I think it's time, I think the baby is coming out. They're like, no, don't think too much into it. So by the time they're coming to check, you see now, that time I'm at the observation bed. Yeah. I was already 10 centimeters gone. Like I never even made it to the delivery room. Wow. So I was just there with Tony the entire time. He's just rubbing my back. I'm either squeezing his hand. You know, he's just talking me through it. Yeah. Like just being amazing, just him being him. And
when baby came, baby was normal, was okay?
That's the thing. When Shane came out, then the midwife like looked at Shane and she noticed that something was very off. He was a bit pale.
The baby was pale?
Yes. So she kept on telling me, keep pushing.
Or the baby was still coming out? Not
yeah, it was
out
coming.
Yet.
Like the head was out. Like he was already crying. Like you could see the head, the entire, like it was out.
But he was pale.
So by the time the head was coming out, fully out, she noticed the umbilical cord around his neck. So he was pale because he was lacking oxygen.
Yes, he's choking.
Yeah, so the baby was under duress. Now they had to make an incision like twice. Yeah, so after it didn't take long, he came. Like I didn't labor for so long, surprisingly.
Good.
Yeah, so the baby was there. He didn't cry, he coughed. So I remember they took him to the theater to like clear his airway and all. That's when they had him cry. And they had to put him on oxygen until his breathing stabilized. So it's something, because it was around 4 in the morning. So they told us by 6, 7 in the morning, he'll be fine.
And
So by the time they were done patching me up, I went to sleep. You know how tired you get, yeah?
Of course.
Yeah, so when I woke up, it was like almost 6:37. My baby was still in the incubator. So I kept on asking them. They're like, no, he's fine. We just give him some more time. So by 10, no changes. He's still there. So he stayed there for 12 hours.
Why?
His lungs, like, he had really strained.
I see.
But by the time he was coming out, he was perfect. Like, I was actually cleared to leave the hospital at the end of the 24 hours, but I was just too scared. I opted to stay. Like, actually, Tony was like, no, let's give it one more night, just in case things change, because he had been in the incubator for 12 hours.
Okay.
Then he's coming out, he's perfectly okay. But other than that, everything went on fine later on.
So he was fine?
Yeah, he was fine. The only milestone I can say that took a while was walking. So you'd see his peers walking at around 1 year. So Shane walked at 1 year, 4 months. And other than that, along the way, my friend started making observation that whenever they'd call him, he wasn't responding to his name. And they'd raise that concern. For me, I didn't.
Would you notice that yourself when you would call him?
No, when I call him, he'd respond. Then my mom also made that observation. It's like, I'm calling him and he's not responding to his name. Something might be wrong. I was like, you see, I call him, he responds. I send him somewhere, he follows instructions, like if you want to leave.
But other people, that wasn't the case?
Yeah, he won't respond. Then after a while, he won't maintain so much of eye contact. But I don't know. You see, at the time, I'm the one who brought him up. I didn't have a nanny. So maybe I got used to it. It's just that I didn't know.
You didn't know?
Yeah, so, and you know, by the time 3 people are telling you they're saying something, you know something is very off.
That's very true.
Yeah, so
let's take a short break. When we come back, you can tell us about how you, I guess, what you did to find out what was wrong with your son and when the diagnosis was made. So please stay right there. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. So you were telling us, you noticed, and people around you, your mother or your sister or friends, would notice your son wouldn't respond when you call him, maintain eye contact with other people though, not with you. Yeah. So what did that prompt on your part as a mom? What did you do next?
When people started making those observations, so we had to take him to the hospital for, a checkup. And every time we'd go, they tell us, you know, he's a boy. Boys have a slow growth span as compared to girls, so we shouldn't compare. So they'd keep everywhere we go. Like we had been to 3, 4 places. They tell us
all of them just...
Yeah, just give him time because he's a healthy baby. He's fine. He's playing. He's eating just fine. Yeah. So around when he was 1 year, 10 months, I'd mentioned that I wasn't working the entire time. I was a housewife. So I'm the one who was raising my son. And so when I got my first internship, he didn't have time to bond because I was called. By the time the notice I had, it was very short. So I didn't even have time to get a nanny to train them and make sure that they've bonded quite well with the baby. So the nanny I got, with time I started noticing, I stayed with her for one and a half months. And by the time she was leaving, the damage had been done. You see, Shane had speech. It wasn't much as people used to say, like, he has fewer words as compared to his peers. He could communicate. If he wanted something, he'll tell you, Mama Maji, twende mall. You know, he'd pick things, like the key things in communication, so he was fine. So when I got this nanny, I noticed, like, almost a fortnight in, actually, initially when I used to go to work, the baby will cry quite a lot. Then after 2 weeks, I remember meeting one of the security guard where I live in, the daytime one. She was a lady. So Teresa told me, since you started working, Shane has been really nice. Because you see, he was very hyperactive. It's like nowadays when he comes down with the nanny to sunbask, he sits through the entire time. Then I told her, Teresa, that is not a good thing because my son is very hyperactive. He can sit in one position. Yeah, so I don't know, I became curious and I became more alert. by the third week, I started noticing something is very off. You come, you find the child with diaper bands. So I've left with a whole packet of diapers. I've left with a whole packet of wipes. Like, there's no limitation, just use them. He's literally the reason why I'm working. So whenever I'd question, she's like, okay, I'll do better next time. So she'd feed him, but quite fast. He kept on
throwing up.
Yes. And to prove to me that she had fed him, she'd, every time he threw up, like, she'll collect it in a bowl and put it on the kitchen counter. Yes, you know how babies have to eat quite a lot, like say 5 to 6 times in a day. So you'll find different bowls. It's like, I gave him food, but he just keeps on throwing up. Yeah, so that was another indicator. Then I know that time you're very desperate because I'd received quite some negative feedback about me staying at home. So one,
From
I knew
it's
just, it was just a family thing.
Okay.
It's more of external interference because you see that's the time you're staying at home. People have this notion that you're eating into Tony's money, you're not bringing any contribution in.
So that's why you rushed to go out.
When I got that opportunity, like, this is it, I have to go. So I'm noticing that something is very off with my son, but I know, like, I can't leave this job. Like, it's not much, but at least it's something. So after...
As a mom, how do you deal with that? That's hard.
It was really hard.
Mentally, even emotionally.
No, mentally I was a mess.
Yeah.
I was a mess because at some point, a friend introduced me to her friend who's a shrink because I didn't want to see like a psychologist or psychiatrist at the time, but I was really badly off. So I'd really struggled. And from her assessment, she told me I had, it's postnatal depression, yeah. That was her diagnosis. But you see, we met in such a social setup, and she'd tell me, like, I need counseling, I need help. I know, like, you're already being told you're a burden to your husband. This husband is not complaining. But you see now, every time someone is feeding that information, I know he's the he's a very quiet person. So you feed him with that information, he'll just keep quiet.
Your former husband,
Tony,
your late husband.
Yeah. So he just keep quiet. So I'd tell him, like, have you heard what I've been told? Like, what do you have to say about this? Like, why can't you stop it? He's like, let's just ignore it. Just stay quiet.
His solution was just...
just stay quiet. And you see, the longer you're staying quiet, you're not addressing anything. Because the interference started, immediately we moved in. So this is almost 2 years down the line. Now when I got a job, I knew, like, I couldn't let it go. Because I'd had it very rough. Yeah. But after 1.5 months, Grace, my son went mute. Like, I think it just goes, we're having so much friction in the marriage. We're getting to a point, and everything is just overwhelming. So it's like one day we're just sitting there watching a movie, then we realize, you know how you can send him, so like, get your shoes, he's not moving. You're calling him, he's no longer responding. Now you're starting to see what other people are seeing in him. So that's the time we decided, okay, we need to look, seek for help.
So you feel like you leaving, going to work, and external factors affected your son?
Yes, because everywhere we'd go, they tell us the tension at home affected him. Then there was also an issue of separation anxiety. Because when I left for work, he was not used to having people at home. I had never had a nanny. Actually, for the 1 year, 10 months I was at home, the longest we ever had a nanny was 4 months. Like in totality, that was just 4 months. Yeah, so that does that. And so when that happened, now we knew like something was off. And the medics would tell us, one even told us, no, I think one told us you need to take him to school. Because when you go to school, he'll interact with other children. Maybe he'll regain his speech, he'll start speaking some more. And that's exactly what we did.
So no diagnosis was made at this point?
No diagnosis was made. Actually, we took him to a local daycare. At the daycare facility, by day 3. Day 3. One of the directors was with Shane in her office. Then her notebook fell from the table. And there was quite a large bang. She noticed that Shane didn't, when something falls, it's natural for you to get startled. He didn't. So she picked it up and started bashing it on the table.
And nothing.
Still, he didn't respond. So for her, that was a cause of alarm. She decided, she actually called us in. Her fear was he might have hearing impairment. Yeah, so she recommended that we go see the school doctor who's going to give us the go-ahead. And that's what, at that time I was out of work. I think I was in Eldoret for work. The dad is one who was home. So when I went there, I remember he called me the day he went for that consultation with the school doctor. And when the school doctor looked at Shane, like it was not even a long consultation, because when Tony called, he just told me, he says our son has mild autism.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was, but we had seen symptoms.
Maybe you can tell people at home what autism is and how to spot it in a child.
Well, autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder that mostly affects a child's social interaction and basic things like communication. Yes.
And now that, with what you've explained, that's how you were able to determine.
Yes, and you see he had some characteristics of autism. Like, you see how a child plays with, you give them Legos or a car, they'll tend to drive them around. But if you give Shane cars, he'll arrange them in a linear order. Whenever I'm in the kitchen, I'm cooking for them, he'd start stacking my spices up. And there was a certain order. So I used to tell him, his dad, like, I think he has symptoms here. And you see, for him, autism was something very new. And during that time, I'd make sure, like, I get shows, like series. I'd get The Good Doctor, Touch. These shows about autistic kids.
For your husband to watch?
Yes.
Okay.
So he'd watch. So by the time after I was being told about autism, I was like, maybe it's not that bad. And you see, the thing about these shows is they only show the good side, the high functioning, but then don't show you this other side.
They don't show you the challenges.
Yeah, the challenges per se. They just, okay, they'll show you the challenges, but not the extreme side of it, yeah.
So when you finally, you know, I guess acquainted him with what autism is, how did that affect or play out in your marriage?
Surprisingly, it didn't, nothing changed. We went for sensory integration. We also saw a child psychiatrist. That's why we got the final diagnosis that he's actually autistic with ADHD.
What have been the most challenging bits of raising your son?
The most challenging bit, Grace, I can say, is as a society, we don't know so much of autism. You see, people, when you talk about disability, people know the physical one, the things you can see, like this person can't hear, he's deaf, he's dumb, he's blind.
This one you can't really pinpoint.
You can't pinpoint it because he looks perfectly okay.
Yeah.
You look at my son, you can't even tell until you spend a little bit of while. It's like, wait, this child hasn't said a word the entire time. Then you notice he's quite bubbly. There's this noise that comes. You might assume like he's actually dumb. And I don't know, people, there's not enough information out there. Yeah. Then there's stigma.
How did you deal with that?
Like it was so bad, because you see people trying to treat it as if it's something I can infect you with. And there was also a notion that he's bewitched.
Oh no.
Yeah, because you see, we come
that happens a lot in African culture.
Yeah. Because Amakamba, he's a half caste of Alu and a Teso. So you'll be told that certain things you did
that led to your son.
Yeah, the naming brought around, they call it Chira. And you see, when people say that thing, and they don't even tell you to their face, but they make sure they say it in your presence. It's like, if you did this thing differently, it will interact that way. And you see, by the time you're telling me this information, I was there before the child was born. Imagine. And I asked you, tell me, like, what do you do as per your tradition? They're like, tumenda shule, you know, like, we don't follow this thing.
How did this affect you, though?
That's where, like, actually for our marriage, that's where the trouble started. You see, everything was fine, Grace. When we were dating, it was smooth. We got each other, we understood each other. He knew what I standed for, I knew what he standed for. So everyone comes with their own ideologies. Then we have from...
Two different cultures.
Yeah, two different cultures. Yeah. Everyone has their own ideologies. You have your own cultural practices. It was very overwhelming. So you're being fed information, you know? As
a mother, it's natural for us to protect our children, to protect those we love. How did you do that for your son in this situation? From family stigma, from the public? How did you do that?
Well, I decided to kill the power that the diagnosis had over us. And you see, when you're coming from a typical African setup, the first thing you're told about, don't discuss it in privacy, in public. Don't talk about it, just keep quiet, you know, like it's not something to talk about. And whenever you get such a thing, you can definitely tell. It's not to protect the child. You're just people either
protecting the family name.
Exactly, the family name. You know, that time no one tells you that these are pre-existing conditions in a family. Until you find yourself in a social gathering, you're realizing, wait, I thought you said I'm the one who came with this thing, but I'm seeing quite over a handful of this. Really? Different neurodevelopmental disorders.
They just ignore.
But you see, I had for me to know just how, not bad, how it was there, especially in his family.
Yeah.
I saw it in his death. Went to the funeral and you'd hear people talking and you start, I've been with a child for over 2-3 years after his diagnosis. So I see someone who's autistic, I can pick it. And you see, the thing about autism is when you see Shane and you see a different child with autism, they're totally different. It's not the same. But there are those characters, I'd pick on them very fast.
I see.
And you know, you'll start asking around and you're told, hata ile ndugu yake ako hivyo. And you see, that's a whole
Lakini they were blaming you instead when it happened.
Yeah, Chira. I brought it to myself.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Stay right there. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Maria, so you find out your son is autistic and you're dealing with so much around you from external factors, whether it's stigma from family, from the public. You mentioned your coping mechanisms was not to like own the disease. What did you say?
Like,
we don't not let it control you. You kill
Yeah.
the power it has over you. There are people at home who are probably raising special needs children, and it's not easy. I can imagine. What would you tell that mom or that family, the mother and father?
The moment you notice that something is off, seek for help. Yes, too. And don't shy away.
Don't hide your child.
Yes, don't hide your child. Like, I'm very vocal about my child. I call him my sunshine. He's literally my pride and joy.
I totally understand.
Yeah. True. So yeah, so I'm very intentional about how I raise Shane. Speak up. Like for me, I chose writing. So I do, actually, that's the first time I joined Instagram. Like I didn't quite get it. I didn't understand why I have Facebook, then Instagram for photos, but I decided let's dive into this. So I started sharing our journey, the diagnosis, and with time people gain an understanding to it, because it's not, like I told you, it's not like a field that is well known, and the information is quite scarce. Yeah.
So maybe you can tell people where to find you so they can follow you and hopefully get in touch with you if they need to. You can go ahead and tell them.
Well, on Instagram, my handle is @lovepersonified_autismmom.ke.
Fantastic.
Yes, on Facebook, I just use lovepersonified.ke.
Okay.
Yes.
So look for her if you want to know more about autism, or maybe you have a child who's autistic and you can share pointers.
Yeah.
But now on this part, let's talk about your late husband. You started in the beginning telling us the day that he passed.
Yeah.
So let's go back to that day. No, it's not fair to relive that day, but if you could paint that picture, what was that day like? You said you woke up normally, he did his normal routine.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
Prior to that day in the morning, like I was telling you, he woke up, we prepared Shane. As usual, after dressing him up, the van got there. I served him breakfast. We talked a bit, like the normal stuff, like, so what are your plans for the day? We catch up a bit. And remember, I'm telling you, I was feeling very sickly. I was feeling very fatigued. Yeah. Something was just totally off. And he told me, like, at this point, like, it's so bad. He's telling me, you need to go get checked. And I told him, I'll go for a walk the following day. It was on Tuesday, on Wednesday. If I don't feel better by tomorrow, I'll go to the hospital. I knew he was going to coach kids at Sunshine.
I see.
I don't know what changed, because along the route, he decided to go to KCB. He used to play for KCB rugby.
Okay. So
he went for training. While at training, because he hadn't trained for 3 weeks, so he shows up for training after 3 weeks. Trains, and halfway through, he started complaining of heart palpitations and feeling dizzy, so he had to leave the pitch.
Okay.
And the management told him, like, you have to go to the hospital. Told them, no, I'm fine, like, it'll just wear off. Just give me a few seconds, I settle down, I'll be fine.
Oh, no.
And when he thought he was fine, they kept on insisting, like, are you sure? So he just told them, just give me tea and chapati. That was actually his favorite snack. Just give me tea and chapati. And
he thought he'd be fine after that?
No, like you see, he hasn't been for training like, in 3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah.
So they have a lot of catch up to do. So they talked and talked. I think at some point it even escaped their mind. Because if it was his former team, they would have called me. But see, he was still relatively new here.
Okay.
Yeah, so when he said he's fine, it's like,
they let it go.
Yeah. So when he left that day, we usually say he went to tell them goodbye. Wow. So he left with a teammate of his. So he dropped him at Karen, all the way from KCB.
Okay.
So from Karen, he took a matatu from Galleria to Karen Shopping Center, and Karen Shopping Center to our place Ngong.
Okay.
And when he got home, I usually say God brought him home in time for him to die. Because Grace, he just rang the bell.
And then?
I remember the first time he rang, I didn't hear it because I was asleep with Shen. So the second time, like, I just rushed to the door to open because it's not nice. Someone has like had a long day, then you're keeping them waiting.
Yes.
And when I opened the door, he just like bent a little bit because he was taller than I am. He just looked at me in the eyes, he smiled. He knew I was asleep because anyway, you can see Shen sleeping. Okay. So he just went to our bedroom, changed the clothes he came with from outside, and came to the sitting room. So actually, by the time he was passing where I was seated, he was going to plug his phone in. Something he does. It's
routine.
Yeah, it's routine. Yeah. So when he went to plug in his phone, what I remember hearing is something falling down. Then shortly afterwards, I felt this sound coming out of him, and I can't even give it a name. It's something that whenever that sound came out, he was having nightmares, and it's something that didn't happen quite a lot. Say 3 to 4 times.
A sound like he can't breathe, or he was in pain? What kind of?
Just it's so disturbing. It's like growling. It's like, I don't know, a bit of an animal. It was something quite disturbing. Actually, that is what caught my attention, because when an object falls, it's like someone can even pick. He's there. Then when the sound, actually that is what caught my attention. So when I turned, one of his foot was already on the chair. Like, I think he just stepped on it. Normally it sits on his foot. So when the leg was just there, so he's standing, his hands are in the hair. So I noticed like the phone actually slipped because it's like somewhere there in between the cushion. So I asked him, like, at first I thought it was a prank. So I told him, Han, bedek to see Fanny.
Stop.
Yeah, stop it. You remember this sound the entire time, it's non-stop, like he's not even stopping. Yes. So I turn again, I'm like, okay, this is off. I ask him, is it a muscle pull? He's not responding. Keep in mind, like, his eyes are open. So I walk up to where he is, like, I wave to see if like his eyes will follow me, nothing. So the first thing I checked if his tongue was still in place. So I saw it was still there. Then I was like, this is off. I remember I held him and I told him like, I'm going to put you in a recovery position. So help me. Like, you know, that time I'm communicating as if he can hear me. So subconsciously, I'm taking through. It's like, I'm going to put your foot down and I'm going, like, I want you to help me, like, get you down. To shuke tu pole pole. Then I'll go to my neighbor's place. I'll run to Mama Sami, wakuja tusaidie tukupeleke hospitali.
He's not responding, but you're speaking to him?
Yeah, so actually when I touched his hands, like, they easily moved down. So I didn't quite understand why they were still in the air the entire time. So when I put him down, I just took a cushion from the seat. I supported his neck because he's really heavy and he's very tall. So I can't lift him or like put him, like, stretch him on the floor alone. So I left him because I put him like somewhere down here. His head is leaning on the cushion. Okay. So I rushed to call my neighbors. When they came back, I was actually, funny thing, I was the one who was giving them instructions, like, we have to clear the space so that he doesn't hurt himself. So I moved the tables. Okay. So they're the ones who stretched him down. We started first aid. And they started fanning him. I told them, I know, this is off, because he's still responsive. The sound is still coming out.
I see.
Then from there, I'm like, just give me a moment. I need to figure out, like, whatever you're doing, we're doing it wrong. Like, there's something you're supposed to do.
Did you think of calling the ambulance?
No, my neighbors at the time, by the time I was rushing to call Mama Sami, the husband was already, he had just arrived home from work. Okay. So she's the one who went to liaise with the neighbors to call the ambulance. That time St. John is not even going through, so we had to use King David. It's a local hospital, and the roads were horrible. Oh, no. So every time they'll try using a route they're familiar with, they'll find like maram had been poured. It was just bad. Yeah. So as we were waiting for them to come, that's the time my other neighbors are helping me with the first aid. So we're talking through it, I'm telling them, I don't think you're supposed to be finding him. So within that time, I remember, I have a memory.
What happened?
When my neighbors got there, one of them asked, like, do you have a medic in the apartment? So one of the people who responded first was like, my wife works in a hospital setup. So he went and called her. And I think when she got there, my neighbor knew Tony was transitioning. We didn't know. So you notice she's opening. She saw him. She knew this guy is transitioning. So she started opening the curtains. And at that time, I'm getting very irritated because for me, it felt like it had been over an hour when you're waiting for the ambulance.
Of course.
So my neighbor, Baba Sami, looks at me. It's like, ama tumchukue tumpeleke na gari yangu. I'm like, it has taken long to endeni. Then my neighbor, the lady, she's like, the condition is in, he cannot be moved. That is when Tony breathed his last, because it was something very heavy, Grace. I usually say it sounded like a truck, like that had just come to a sudden stop. Still, like, it didn't hit me that he was gone.
That's a sound you'll never forget.
It's traumatic because you see, there's that, I don't want to call it noise, like it kept coming. Then the moment it stops, he breathed out very heavily, and it was something, I don't want to say, it was very disturbing, yeah. So by the time the medics got there, walked up to him, squatted, akamshikilia like to feel the pulse. So he asked me to take him through what had just happened. So I told him how I put him in the recovery position. I ran and called my neighbors, how I cleared the space. It's like, okay, fine, we need to carry out first aid, we need to resuscitate him, and we'll need you to leave the room. I'm like, no, if it's CPR, I can take it. Keep in mind, when I was telling my neighbors, like, we're doing this wrong, CPR, like, it never even crossed my head. The entire time, Shane is asleep on the seat.
In the same room?
In the same room. Surprisingly, he never, normally he's quite sensitive to sound, and given him like how many people are just coming in and out of the house, he didn't even wake up. So I usually say that was also God, because it would have been very traumatic for him to see the dad lying on the floor, then for him to go either touch him and he's not responding.
Yeah.
You know, he might have interpreted it as rejection, because
exactly.
They had quite an amazing bond.
So at what point did they tell you what had happened?
You see, the moment actually they said I should be taken outside, I remember that the paramedic insisted on 4 men to be left behind, and 2 of my friends stayed behind too. So that's the time they told them, like, Tony's gone, like, he's gone, like he went ages ago. From the observation, he had been dead for, they usually say, close to 30 minutes. Yeah, so they told them, it's an ambulance, they don't carry dead bodies. And according to the law, the moment someone dies in the house, it's officially like a police investigation. So they organized with my neighbors. They're like, you're the one who'll go to the police station, you'll come with us to the hospital, we'll write you a letter and stuff.
They still haven't told you yet?
Not yet. No, that time I'm outside. Now I'm getting very impatient because we've waited for you for something that feels like over 2 hours. Like, why are you taking so long? Keep in mind that time, the entire time I'd wanted to call, especially his family. And I told them, should the mother know that the son has collapsed and I haven't informed her, I'll be in a lot of trouble. You see me, I'm just seeing collapsing. I don't know, it's death waiting for me. So they tell me, no. Don't raise concern. Let's wait until he gets to the hospital, he's getting first aid, then you can call.
So at what point did they break the news to you? And what happened after that?
Yes, so while we're still outside, because it had taken so long, I told them, like, now, because my neighbors had already taken the phones away from me, his phone, my phone. So they're like, I have to tell them, like, now we have to call. It's been well over an hour. It felt like 2 hours or so. I'm like, you have to call. Just inform them, out of courtesy. So, but we tried calling the mother the first time, she wasn't picking. Second time, by the 5th time is when she was speaking. But by the time my neighbor is talking to her, me, I'm being called inside the house. So she's being told her son has collapsed. I'm getting to that house. The first thing I noticed is the same way I left him lying down is the same way I found him. Grace, I didn't need to be told. I knew.
How was that moment for you, Maria?
Shocking. Grace, it was shocking. Like, how do you just die? It didn't make sense. I had a lot. Because we are really struggling. Like, first, there's the first fear that gets in my head. Like, you've left me with a child, a special needs child. Like, you are literally our anchor. So you're already thinking of the bills. You're already thinking, like, how am I even supposed to readjust to life without this person? Because we started dating so young. We were, I think, 20. Like a whole decade. Then, like, is this it? Because at the time, we were even planning for a wedding. So, like, all those thoughts are just coming in. You know, like, everything is just coming all at once. It was overwhelming. Because I remember at some point, my neighbors, they kept telling me, you need to get out, like, you need to scream, you need to let it out. I'm asking them, Guy Mbona, why should I?
And tell me, I think you shared that his family were not very kind during that period.
Yes.
And there were threats that you could have been involved. Why was that the case? Why did they go that way?
I think people can just be people. It's one of those things I try making sense of today. And just, I think I got to a point where I decided, but I'm not going to let this thing bother me, because at first I was very bitter, Grace. I was very angry. So actually, when I started writing on Facebook, like public sharing my story of grief, his auntie one day called me, and she made a very nasty comment. She's like, you know, from where I'm standing, wherever they tell you, you just keep quiet. Just take it all in. You keep quiet. But you see, I'd been quiet in marriage. I'd been quiet through the entire time. His matanga was 2.5 weeks. I had to stay back in Migori for another 1 week. So it had been almost a month. This point, and you're being treated, it was so hostile. So by the time she's calling me, she's telling me, no, I don't know if it was a threat, because she said it in the most casual of ways. These people are going to build a case against you and state that you're mentally unstable. Grace, when it comes to Shane, Tony and I have parented this child all on our own. So the moment, like, Tony is gone, and you're telling me, like, you're going to take my son away, how, why? I became more angry. I became very bitter. And I was scared. So I started writing. I was like, by the time they get to me, let me start by sharing my story and my findings. And I think my tribute to Tony had already trended. So the story gained traction.
So now almost a year later, how are you doing?
As much as I was writing, somehow through writing I was able to pour it out. You see, you're very angry, so at first you're writing, it's just coming out. So after a while, you realize even the bitterness starts
wearing off.
As much as these funny emails are coming in, they're accusing you of very funny things, they're very malicious. And that time they're tagging, you're sending me an email to insult me, you're tagging both of my parents in them, and you're tagging both of his parents in them. And I knew it's just a matter of time, especially because we had kept the data away from his dad just to protect him because he's a bit sickly. So we knew, like, when the email started coming in, I was like, I'll handle it Tony's way. I'll stay quiet. Okay. And so the more you keep quiet, the more they come through.
So if you could, tell us today why you're sharing this story. For people that are watching at home and will hear your experience, what would you like the outcome to be of you sharing your story?
Whenever you start encountering these things, seek for help. Don't ignore it. Don't sweep it under the rug.
How would you like to remember Tony as we finish?
I choose to remember the good side, Grace. I had an amazing, amazing man. Like, he was a good man, a kind man. Grace, I choose to celebrate him. The man that he was an amazing, amazing father. He was a good person. As a person, he was an amazing sportsman. He was a good friend. He's the kind of a person who used to show up. And that is how I choose to remember Tony. Because he'll always be the love of my youth. And he's the father to my child.
And you, how are you doing? Losing your husband and then being accused of, if there's any foul play involved, it would have been, I guess, identified by the medics or the police. That hasn't yet. How have...
No, the postmortem report came out. They said he had a heart defect. And it's something that started showing back in 2018 because he had been hospitalized for 4 nights, 5 days, 4 nights, about the same thing. And other than that, the postmortem said it was fine. Like, he was fine. It's just that the heart had an issue. When the DCI were called, like, the moment the murder allegations were thrown my way, the DCI came with his team. They did the whole investigation. They moved around. They even went to my bedroom. They asked me to take them through the steps, like, what does he do, like, when he gets home. They found nothing. They even told us the body was in good shape.
So are you at peace?
So much peace. Grace, I lost my dad in December. And I still have so much peace. At time, it might be the trauma of losing Tony first, because as much as I've lost, I'm a daddy's girl, as much as I've lost my father, maybe Tony's death, the ugliness surrounding it, it was like, if I've survived that, like, even in my dad's, I've just found so much grace. And every day my prayer has always been for grace and strength. I keep telling God, as long as you give me grace, as long as you give me strength, and open up my ways, I will work for this child. I'll never burden anyone, because I know what it feels like to be called a burden. And I never want my child to be termed as a burden to someone. So as long as you give me that, I'll work for this boy. And I'll honor you through the way I choose to live my life. And that is celebrate Tony and celebrate my father.
Well done. Thank you for sharing your story. I know this was not easy. Even hearing it on this end, that's heavy. So we appreciate your time, your honesty, and asante. We wish you all the very best, you and your son. May this year be an easier one, and more grace to you and your family.
Asante.
And to you at home, thank you for making time for us. Thank you for staying with us. As always, special thanks to Radisson Blue Arboretum for hosting us. Do stay safe, stay well, stay hopeful, and we'll see you again next week.